Welcome to episode 10. I'm Luke.
And I am George.
And today is the very long-awaited launch day of Decentraland. So we're joined by Matty of DCLblogger.com to get us up to speed on what's happening in the Decentraland space. Matty is an investor, land flipper, and well-known community member within Decentraland. He runs a blog where he surveys the NFT trading markets and helps people understand the landscape. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the Non-Fund Gerbils podcast, the show about digitally scarce gerbils, non-fungible assets, and the growing decentralized economy. So, Matty, aka DCL blogger, thank you so much for joining us. It's a real pleasure to have you on, especially getting your time at this moment in time, because we are literally just coming up to the launch of the project that I know you're most involved with. Having said that, I also know you're involved in other projects and interested in other projects, so I'm sure we'll touch on that as well. But before we get there, give us a little bit of how you came to be so deeply embedded in the NFT space and such a supporter of Decentraland.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thanks for having me on this podcast. I kind of got into crypto in 2017, early 2017, when things started to go pretty crazy, I guess, all across the crypto spectrum. And I didn't know much about Bitcoin or anything before that. I just remember I was tracking the price. And I was like, holy crap, it's hit $1,000. Oh my God, it's hit $2,000. And I keep messaging my friends and none of them were paying attention. So when it hit 3,000, I was like, oh, well, I have to understand what's going on here and I have to try to get in. So anyway, got really lucky and jumped into a few altcoins and got lucky with Neo. Bought in at about $6 to $7 and within like a month or something, it went up to, $20 to $30 per coin. And I was like, oh, wow, this is really easy. So kept doing that and obviously it didn't turn out the same for every coin. Did everything in the book, just joined pump groups and got burnt in many ways. But anyway, then came the end of 2017 when everything went up, and then 2018 it started to go back down. And 2018 is when I started to look for other projects because I thought diversifying in other altcoins would protect me from the downswing, the downturn that crypto is going through. So that's when I found Decentraland. I liked the logo, so I found it on CoinMarketCap and I Googled it and had no idea that I was going to fully immerse myself in this new project. So that's when I found that, a way that people are trading coins, but people are also starting to trade digital assets of different types. At that point, it was land. And then as I searched further, it was, digital cards with Gods Unchained, digital Pokemon or whatever you want to call them with Ethereum on, and all these digital assets that were meaning different things, non-fungible ones. And that's where I got into non-fungible tokens. And initially I started to buy to just invest, but I realized very quickly that once you purchase, you can actually sell it pretty much the next day if an offer comes by that's more than the purchase price. And in that way, you can actually trade to make a profit instead of just holding it till a certain, most people hold a coin or something for a long period of time and then sell it. But in this way, you can trade almost on a daily basis if you can buy at a very good price and sell at an almost equally, attractive price to the next buyer. There's a good margin to be made in between, and that's when I kind of really got into it.
Yeah, that's really interesting because it's sort of so different to the altcoin trading. Because you can do your due diligence into the projects and the team and so on and so forth, but this has an element of fun and art and so the things that you have to look at in terms of what you feel someone else might want. It's a different skill, I guess. And a great skill to have. So Decentraland came along, and it had an ICO as well. Were you involved in it from that early on?
No, I had no idea what Decentraland was until even after the first land auction. So mid 2017, I believe that's when the ICO was. Completely missed that, had no idea about Decentraland. Then end of 2017 was when the land auction was, again, had no idea. It was only February 2018 when I found out about Decentraland, and that's actually the best time because people were coming off a bull run, things were nosediving, and there was a lot of activity. People were trying to sell their land, but didn't have the UI to do a simple listing. They had to find a buyer who was, ballsy enough to lay down the money first and send the money, and then be okay with taking that risk to get the land to you. So not many buyers in that space, as you can imagine.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, missed it completely. Just got into that stage when everyone was buying and selling land privately, I guess.
And tell us a bit, give us your sense of what Decentraland is as a project. Obviously, it's a virtual world, but what is it that makes it special for you?
Decentraland, look, I'm a very financially oriented person. Where the money is, I tend to try and move in that direction and understand that those economics as best as I can. I learned Facebook and dropshipping back like 8 years ago before when I first heard about it, and it was very lucrative back then, and now it's kind of evolved into a much more profitable space. But when something's new and people don't really understand the economics well, there's a lot of money to be made, especially if there's a lot of attention given there because people don't know the prices of things. So that's what initially attracted me, the fact that I could buy something and sell it almost straight away as an investment or a new asset class. But as I looked more into the project, this whole virtual world and owning your own land and building what you want on top of it in virtual reality, which was their initial proposal. Obviously, virtual reality has been delayed for now, but that was their initial proposal. And that was very, for me, it was very pioneering. It was new because I'd known about Second Life, but owning your own land and building things on it and buying and selling things. And now learning, they're trying to decentralize the whole process, which to me is an interesting experiment to how decentralized can work eventually in the real world. Like it's kind of like a decentralization simulation for a society almost, to see how people react to being able to own your own land and your own, to have a voting or a governance system that's more decentralized than the current ones, and to observe how that evolves is now for me very interesting.
And so at launch, that's coming up in just a few days' time, Decentraland isn't what you might call fully decentralized. Is that correct? So there's people can own parcels of land. They can buy parcels of land with Mana. They can they build on it on that land themselves?
Yeah.
Is that something? Are there particular skills that you need to have in order to do that, to build a shop or an art gallery or that kind of thing?
Yeah. There is obviously going to be a skill set you'd need, but I think Decentraland are trying to bridge that gap as much as possible. They have, one of their product is the drag and drop builder, where you can drag and drop, different items, walls, chairs, and things like that to build your own, whatever it may be. Or if you want to get a little bit more creative and customizing things, then you'd have to learn the SDK and learn how to program or develop things from scratch, which I've never done. I only got involved with the drag and drop because that's my style. I'm not very tech oriented person. But it seems that even learning the SDK and that stuff isn't that hard of a hurdle if you're willing to learn it. There's quite a few people that have learned it from scratch and built some amazing scenes. But yeah, you can build and deploy right into the world even now.
And can you sort of customize houses? You can just build walls and build roofs, exactly as you want them.
Yeah, man. You can build whatever you want, basically.
Because I had a go at the builder when they first released it, and it was very, very limited then. And they were doing a thing where you could design a parcel and then it would go into a competition and maybe it would get put into the world.
Yeah.
And there was only there was like a tree house.
That was like a year ago or something, right?
That was, I think it was maybe August or September, or when I did it anyway. And yeah, I built a tree house and put a bike next to it and kind of went, I think it's got a little bit way to go yet. But so I'm interested to what it's like now.
Yeah, so they've had 2 builder contests. The first one was, I think, when you got involved, where you had bikes and trees and very limited assets. And then they released different asset packages, you can call them. So they had a space package of assets and then a fantasy pack, etc., etc. Now it's not as limited, and they've also introduced smart items, so you can introduce, I don't know if you guys saw it, but you can introduce like levers and buttons and switches that might make a parrot start squawking, or different things. It activates and deactivates. It opens doors. So now you can kind of drag and drop, and you have moving platforms. You can kind of build your own game in a very limited sense, or at least the basis of a game, and then maybe with the SDK you can customize it a lot more. But I think at the basic level you can do some sort of like an NFT adventure hunt and have like platforms that move around and chests that you can unlock and open and claim NFTs. So they're kind of getting to the point where ideally you should be able to drag and drop whatever experience you want, right? But it's going to take some time, obviously, but they've made quite progress considering if you've been only part of the first build, I would urge to check out at least the contest entries of the second builder contest.
Yeah, I need to go back. It's been sort of off the radar for a little bit, and we've kind of been waiting for it and known it's there in the background.
I think people lost faith in Decentraland because they delayed their launch, and then it went silent, and everyone's like, "Oh well, what the hell's going on? Are they going to launch anytime soon?" And then suddenly they just announced this whole launch thing coming up on 20th February.
Also, they don't seem to do a lot of like marketing or communications. I don't think I've ever seen any one of the team being interviewed.
Yeah, they did that at the start. So that's why it was so exciting at the start when I got involved in 2018, because they were really pushing marketing in the sense that they were going to events, they were kind of approaching universities, they were showing what they could do and onboarding these game studios. And then I think they realized that they need to just sideline everything and kind of get the world ready to launch before they do any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they kind of went MIA and disappeared into just programming mode for about a year to make sure that the world is ready to launch. And then once we have a working product, because by now if they didn't have that, I think we would have fallen quite behind. There's a few different virtual worlds out there, and projects that have been in development for the last 2 to 3 years now have something to show, and now are kind of working on pushing adoption and getting people to onboard and play the game. So that's the kind of bumpy road they've taken.
Well, it's great that they've made it, because I remember the ICO happening, and I remember thinking, it's such a massive idea. I love the idea of it, but I'm not sure that they could do it. So I'm going to sit to the side and wait. But now they're there. It's here.
Yeah, there were so many good ideas back in the ICO phase. I think you'd be lucky if you're part of any of those projects that have continued to develop and have funding at this stage of the game. So I think I've just gotten lucky with Decentraland to have invested in that idea then, and them still having, I guess, a smart enough mind to push through and develop what they have now.
And so how is development in the sense of people paying attention? I hear that Mana is beginning to move. I saw a tweet saying the cheapest plot of land was $700. Is that true? Wow. And there's quite a lot of land, right? I mean, I imagine it is capped, right? But there seems like there's quite a lot.
Yeah. Well, the whole world is about 90,000 pixels of land.
Right.
So 16 by 16 meters. But of that 90,000, you've obviously got your road networks, you've got your district land where you can't really buy and sell those lands. So your private land that people can actually buy and own and build on is half of that. So it's about 45,000 pieces of land.
How big is a piece of land?
So one piece of land in area is 16 by 16 meters.
Okay.
Previously it was 10 by 10, and then through a vote it got increased to 16, which doesn't sound like much, but it actually 2.5x's the area of the whole map, because each land goes from 100 to suddenly 256 meters squared. So it's a huge deal. And in terms of height, it's 20 meters if you have one parcel. If you have joined parcels, the height increases through a log formula.
Oh, I see.
So that's why these estates are worth more, or at least have more of a value to them, because the larger the estates, the higher you can build.
So what are they going up to? What are the tallest estates that you're getting?
One estate, I think, is 400 pieces joined. So considering one parcel is 20 meters in height, I think the 400 piece estate could be something like 180, maybe between 160 and 200 meters. Because the more you have, it kind of, the increments get less and less.
Okay.
So obviously the leap from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3 is much more than 200 to 201.
That's interesting. So I suppose you'll get a block of potential like skyscrapers all together. Might be an option.
Yeah, in a sense, I've aimed my portfolio strategy in collecting these larger estates, just because I would think they're more attractive to developers that come in to want to build a game experience or some sort of big experience. Because the more height you have, we're not capped to the world limitations as we are here. So I would assume you can just build like big long experiences. Sorry, height wise, vertical wise. And really make use of all the area that you have. So for me, I think those bigger estates will be more valuable, so people would pay more for them once they, developers get involved.
Is it the case that the closer you are to Genesis Plaza, the more valuable the land is, or has it sort of split off into different sort of cliques and niches depending on what kind of area you're in, whether it's gaming or art, or give us a sort of lay of the land?
It is true for both of those statements. So the value when the marketplace first went live, no one really knew what anything was worth, right? People were buying land for all kinds of prices. But in time, as the economics developed and we had some data to go off, the center held the most value. So obviously lands connected directly to that center Genesis Plaza seems to be the most valuable. Some of them single plots go for about 300 to 500,000 mana. That was back then, so I think now it'd be hard to even get one under 1 million mana.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. But the more you spread out and lands connected to the road networks are more to the lands not connected to the road networks. Lands connected to certain districts, so you got Vegas district on the top, the northwest. That's a little bit more promising than some of the other smaller ones. So those lands are going for about 80 to, I think a recent one sold for 90,000 mana. So lands connected to the other Genesis plazas, minimum about 100,000 mana for even a single parcel. There's about 9 different green blocks, which are the Genesis plazas. And those are the areas that the team are going to come in and build experiences on, so that those are team-owned land.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so people are speculating, that's going to be guaranteed content on there. They're going to have events and things, so it is less risky to own land directly connected to those plazas. So those are going for 100,000 mana plus the non-central Genesis Plaza. So yeah, it's a variety of mix. So the ones on the far outskirts that are not really connected to anything, they're the cheapest ones, going for about 13,000 mana.
And so for reference, 100 mana is about $6.
Yeah.
I only know that because I got 100 mana on Friday night for going and getting the NFT in World. I was like, how much is that? $6. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, 10,000 mana, 600 USD.
And so, what should we expect in terms of launch? Like, so when they say they're launching, we're going to be able to enter into this world and explore everything that's been built so far, interact in certain ways. What's the vision there for launch?
So the launch, at the moment or previously, it was in beta mode, right? So if you were whitelisted and you had an avatar and they had whitelisted you, then you could enter the land. Now that it's public, I can simply share a link to a land in my coordinates or for an event. Say I've built some treasure hunt or something. I can just tweet it, and suddenly you can enter it whether you have an avatar or not. You can come in as a guest and participate fully. I think you can even engage in the contract and win the wearables or whatever NFTs I have, whether you have an avatar or not. So it's really interesting. Like I can just post a link to a club or something, right? Whatever the event may be, and suddenly all the people on Twitter can jump in and participate in that thing. But on the 20th, when it goes live, I think they're going to have a big treasure hunt and a bunch of different games to mostly showcase what Decentraland can be. And I say that because, especially once they've made that increase from 10 by 10 meters to 16 by 16 meters, the world is just massive. It is so massive. You get in there, you can walk around for a while. It's got a default greenery area. So if you haven't built anything on your land, it's got some default greenery, some trees and stuff. So there's just trees and random things everywhere. And every now and then you come across someone's scene that they've built. And I think it's going to take some time until the content gets more and more clustered. And there's actually a lot of things to do in a small amount of area. Once it goes live, I think Decentraland are going to promote, maybe this event's going to be held on a Genesis Plaza, which is going to have content all around it. But if you go exploring, I think what a lot of people are going to find is, yes, there are cool things to find, but it may take some walking around and finding to get there. So it is exciting. Like, launch is quite exciting because finally they're putting the product out there, and we can see, all this speculation on land prices and stuff. You can actually see if people respond in a positive way to that, and if that speculation is warranted. But I'm more excited about 1 or 2 years from now, once the land is a lot more developed, people have gotten on board that have the money, the funding, the skill sets to build great experiences, and we have many of these great experiences. And we're going from 1,000 visitors to hopefully tens of thousands of visitors. That's, I think, for me, that's more exciting. What we're going to be 1 or 2 years from now.
And you're going to be a hodler for that period of time. I mean, you've obviously got a portfolio, but I imagine you'll be waiting for that moment with a portion of your current portfolio.
Yeah. I will definitely keep a foot in the game, but I want to see the direction it takes. What kind of experiences are people going to build? Are they going to build games, businesses? What's going to be profitable? Will I rent my land, or will it be better to use some funds to build something and actually build a business on it? It would be good to see what direction it takes and if there's actually any money-making potential of these lands. Because I think the moment people start to make some sort of an income or a revenue on a consistent basis on your land, then suddenly it becomes a lot more than just a game in the eyes of many. It becomes
absolutely
an income stream, right? A way to make passive income, as they say, whether you rent your land or whatever. So yeah.
And how baked in is crypto into Decentraland? Like, so imagine I have a wallet full of NFTs. Can I only display what's in my wallet? So currently, what's going on in somewhere like Crypto Voxels, it's very art orientated. A lot of art-based NFTs going up in galleries. Is crypto baked into Decentraland in the same way? So it's like if I've got a parcel of land and I want to build a gallery and I want to show something, do I have to have the token in my wallet for it to work? I imagine that's the case in terms of wearables. I can't wear something that I don't have access to. Is it will it read my NFTs in that way? Will that scarcity be present in Decentraland, that sense of scarcity?
I think at the moment that's what it is. You can display an image of the NFT that you have in your asset. So you can, if you hook it into your MetaMask, you can select the particular CryptoKitty you want to show an image of, or the art that you want to show an image of. I think they recently onboarded Super Rare as well, so they're also trying to get in the art people. And you can view that, but I think you have to own the NFT at the moment, unless you use the SDK to kind of put an image of that art yourself. But I'm not sure if you can get that to link out to an OpenSea, purchase link or something. But with a if you have the NFT tokens in your wallet at the moment, I know you can display them for the projects that they've approved.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's sort of a key aspect that. If everyone, who's participating in this world understands that when they see something, in someone else's creation, that they know that that's rare, or because essentially you want to be able to signal that that you own something, and it's only a small part, because there's gaming and there's a whole range of other things that will attract people. But I personally feel like that's an important aspect of it.
I agree.
Yeah, it's super exciting to see. I go through the Twitter feed and there's videos up and transporters flying through the air and people getting it. And recently there's someone who made a game like a cowboy shooting game. It was like an infinite engine game.
That was so cool.
And that's pretty exciting. So we're beginning to see this sort of, I call it permissionless innovation, right? The sense that you can have an idea and build it, and then if you can create that sense, then you have potentially limitless developers who can all take part, which I guess is where they'd like to go to. My only concern is this potential bottleneck of centralization. Do you need permission to build something out of the ordinary, or is it currently permissionless?
If you're talking about like not safe for work things, or like things that are all kind of on the spectrum of what's legal and not legal, I think that.
Well, yeah. I guess that comes with it, but
yeah, look, we're all curious about that, man.
Yeah.
We all want to know what's going to happen with that. There's people that want to have brothels. There's people that want to have, all kinds of gambling stations and fun things. But it's all going to be figured out how that's going to work. Obviously, you're going to have people that will build those things. And I think that at the moment there's an option that I've noticed. Maybe it might be a new option they've added where you can actually report a scene. So if you're not comfortable with it, maybe you can hide it from your view or report it. Maybe you can make a developer can make another Decentraland and a side fork or something that is like a kid-friendly one or something. I don't know, but all of this is still to be figured out, and they're moving in the direction of decentralization. I know. Look, I'm not much of a tech person, so I don't understand the technical aspects, but I know that servers are being decentralized in the sense that they're going to be hosted on multiple people's servers, and the people that will be able to host Decentraland or run those nodes are going to be approved by the DAO. So they're moving in that direction as well. The voting is through Agora, which, so the questions that they're going to put up for vote, whether they want to increase to 16 by 16 meters or keep it as 10 by 10, that's up to the vote for the community, so people can vote with mana.
Okay.
So they're moving in decentralized processes in those areas.
That's really exciting, because I feel like there are virtual worlds out there, right? There's virtual worlds out there already that have, millions of, visitors a day. The key here, the key success metric here is that special something that scarcity brings to the game, plus permissionless innovation, because then you end up with something that's just far more interesting. It's more interesting than you could never get a big enough group of developers to come up with the potential experiences. And so I think that's the most exciting thing. And Decentraland is clearly the biggest vision. We spend a lot of time on crypto voxels, and clearly, that's a fantastic vision as well. But it's going down a fairly different track. You see the videos on Decentraland and just the level of detail that you can see in this space. We're both really excited. Now
I think all of these virtual worlds will have their space. They'll have their part to play in where it's not like if you just have a Decentraland land, that's the only place you can be.
Oh sure,
you can have you can jump into crypto voxels if they have a fun experience that day, and it's going to be interesting how this virtual world ownership is going to evolve. And
we're seeing the interoperability of blockchains. Maybe there'll be the interoperability of virtual worlds. That would be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting if, with that interoperability, if you can just have like a Decentraland estate or a district, for example, that can give value to crypto voxel tokens, and have land parcels in crypto voxels be adopted in a Decentraland somehow, in the exact same way, right? Yeah. So anything's possible, especially with this interoperability thing. It's really up to the imagination of people to build these experiences.
I'd like to see an exchange, an in-game exchange, and an in-game bank. So you could go in and lock up your mana in a collateralized.
You use mana to buy crypto voxel stuff.
Yeah, and you put it in a CDP and.
All those things. Yeah. There's actually some very interesting economic structures coming out of the Decentraland or the NFT space. Did you see the Niftex exchange tweet?
No. What's that?
No? Oh, right. So Niftex is a NFT exchange where you can own, or the premises that you can own shards or fractions of NFTs. So, for example, if someone wants to put up their $10,000 land up for ownership, they can put it up there in the form of ERC20 tokens. thousands of those, and those can be traded on those exchange called Niftex. So that's what they're trying to do is kind of break down the barrier to entry and make some sort of
making it liquid
liquidity. Yeah, making it more like kind of unlocking the liquidity for smaller players that want to get involved in the land market but don't want to buy the land, but they can just buy like 50 tokens for Decentraland, Vegas district land or something.
That's really cool.
And have a part in it.
My goodness, they're keeping the SEC on their toes, aren't they? They're not going to be able to keep up.
I know, man. It's scary. Half of it's scary because sometimes you think about it and you're like, is this going to fly? Or are we going to get shut down one day?
It's so many levels in. It's like a...
It's also the rehypothecation of CryptoKitties. It's going to be incredible. I own a bunch of tokens that give me half a foot of the second CryptoKitty. It's like I think we're a very creative space. That's very interesting.
But I wonder how it'll work legally. Although I don't want to get into the conversation of legalities because we don't really know, but I wonder how it's going to work in terms of it being decentralized and all. Like, can we be pinned for any content when it's being hosted on decentralized servers, or not one server, many servers? How's that going to work? Or, I don't know.
That was one of the big problems with Second Life, wasn't it? That people started creating content that was illegal, and then they'd have to shut it down, and then people having their accounts closed, and
I mean, it's funny, there are a few projects that have these issues. I was always fascinated by this very early Ethereum project called Augur, which was a prediction market, and it's still going, and could still potentially be a very, very significant platform. But what was interesting there is that people could post any markets that they wanted, right? So there was all manner of strange stuff being done, but the UI that you could go through to access the market could filter those. So if you were to search assassination market, it wouldn't appear. They were still on the platform, and you could go into the kind of the main platform, and you could find them, but one got a sense that the sort of the throng or the masses would go through the pretty UI, and the pretty UI would filter those. I imagine they could do something similar. If you want to find it, you can find it, but generally speaking, your sort of vanilla experience of Decentraland is not going to involve these elements. Potentially.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's what we're gonna, I guess, find out as the space evolves and we find solutions for things. There's all kinds of issues and hurdles in the path. For example, right now for voting, the weight that you have for voting is by mana. The more mana token you have, the more kind of say you have, really.
Sure.
If you're a whale with like 20 million mana, you can just come out and pretty much dominate the way or the direction the vote will go. And they initially made it like that to just start this voting mechanism, but then the question arises, okay, well, what about landowners? How much weight should they have per land? Should it be flat? Should it vary? If it should vary, what formula should we put? Should that formula be dynamic? And it just opens up this whole new can of worms.
Can I rent specifically for the vote? Could I maximize my weights for a specific period of time?
Yeah, you can just withdraw 50 million, vote, and then once the vote's over, put that back in the exchange. But I think recently they're kind of introducing the wrapping. Like you have to wrap your mana for the duration of the vote, so that stops you from playing with it too much.
Yeah, so you have to lock it up for a certain time period.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
A lot less enticing.
The governance side of things is not just Decentraland. It's across the whole space. All projects are in various ways trying different experiments to work out how to get a disparate group of people together to decide to go in one direction, as it were. But it's great to know that that's the vision and the aim, because then everyone can get behind it. Well, at least
the goal is for
in this space.
The goal is for the team to step down and leave the complete ownership, governance, and direction to the people. they've always mentioned that's the goal. It's only recently where they've come out with this, hosting the servers through nodes, different people, and that whole decentralization process or features recently. So we're like, oh wow, this is actually going in the direction that a lot of people wanted. Because like I said, for the last year, they've just been crunching down and getting this stuff out, not really saying much about what they're doing, giving us little updates here and there. But now seeing, yes, they're going to launch, and yeah, they are working on decentralizing all parts of this process, as it seems. That seems interesting to me.
So how big are the community that are working on it and are involved?
They say, if you say the people, the company, I think there's like 30 or 40 people building it. In terms of the community, it varies. With this NFT community, I kind of still am trying to find out how do we gauge momentum and growth of people using these projects, right? One simple metric is just being part of the Discord channel, which is the welcome one, and that welcomes every new person. And you can say, oh, look, every day 20 people seem to be joining, or 30 people seem to be joining. And you can see the growth. And if that's a consistent growth, then you know that people are finding, joining, and participating in some sort of conversation. So I think Decentraland have like a Discord of 13,000 people at the moment, which is relatively big compared to every other NFT Discord out there. I think Gods Unchained is it might be more. I think it might be 15,000. But apart from those two, I don't know how big CryptoKitties is. Might be more. I'm not sure. But that is a big factor to me. And the fact that $25 million was collectively spent in the ICO. And then on top of that, $15 million was spent in the first auction. Shows me that there's a lot of money and interest involved in land ownership. So that's what separates me with investing with Decentraland and investing with something like CryptoVoxels or the Sandbox, right? The Sandbox had their recent pre-sale and they did great. They sold out. They've only sold 7.5% of their total land supply. They've got 92.5% of land still to put on auction in different stages. And they've sold out, and I think collectively, if you work out the money that was collected, it was 300,000 USD or around that figure for the Sandbox so far. So compare that sort of a marketplace when it goes live, or that sort of a community interest, to $15 million.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Right? It's a big difference. It's a much larger pool of people that are more heavily invested because they have no choice. They've got their money invested in this now. So when it comes to that, I'm looking for NFT projects at this stage that have millions of dollars invested collectively through at least 1,000 different wallets. So that way I know there's a lot of money. So if I invest, there's liquidity there that I can pull my money back out. Because you don't want a project to launch and suddenly you're just seeing not many people buying it on a daily basis. You're only seeing like a couple of Ethereum being spent a week. That's a nightmare for any NFT investor. That suddenly means that your funds are locked until some private guy comes along and says, all right, I'll buy everything out for you. But Decentraland has always been great that way because there's tens of thousands of dollars traded every day for 2.5 years, guys. That is nothing like ever that I've ever seen. That's the only reason why Decentraland for me is appealing till this day. The moment the liquidity runs low, that's the moment I'm going to start to get scared as an investor, because that means that suddenly the money that I have invested isn't moving as quickly as I would need to, especially as a large-scale investor. So those are the differences with Decentraland and some of the others.
And are you watching what people are building? Are you keeping up with the various builds and districts?
I am. Districts are an interesting play. A lot of them are pretty quiet. I don't know what it is. I think it's because they don't want to display much or show much until they go live. But every now and then I hit them all up and I'm like, hey, are you guys working on things, or what's been going on? But I've been keeping on top of whatever people are building, and my Twitter is always open, and I'm always messaging the Discord chats that if you guys build anything cool, let me know. I want to make a video and tweet about it because people want to see the content in Decentraland. Land buying and selling is only so fun, but people want to see what Decentraland is about, right? So it's only in the last month or two that I've been tweeting videos of what people have built, because I got a new laptop which is much more faster. So now it looks more fluid, and now I think that's when people also started paying attention, because now they can actually see what it's about. But I know there's a bunch of different really good developers working on things because Decentraland have this, I forgot what they call it, kind of like this creator program where they've got like a select few people, maybe 10 to 15 people that they've selected to help build out different things. And that cowboy game was one of them.
Okay.
So these guys are kind of pioneering different, I guess, inventions or different things in Decentraland. So if we get like 50 to 60 of these.
Maybe they'll help us build a gerbil, a non-fun gerbil game.
Yeah, man. Come in. You know what I came across the other day? I came across a game, and I think this is from one of the people in that program. But it was kind of like, have you guys played RuneScape?
No. I've seen it.
I haven't. No.
You guys ever played RuneScape?
No.
Oh man, what about Habbo Hotel or one of those like online games?
No.
No? So these are like, so let me just tell you RuneScape. RuneScape was a game where you could own, well, you can't really own anything. It wasn't decentralized or anything, but in 2000, I think it opened up in 1998 or 2000, very early game. And you could pick a character, name your character, go in this world. You can be anyone you wanted to be. So you could be someone that cuts wood and increase your wood cutting level, get wood. You can cook things by starting fires, and you can cook fish. You can be a fisherman. You can sell those fish to someone that wants to go into battle that needs health and needs food to eat because he goes into battle. There's all kinds of crap you can do, right? There's like 100 different skills you can upgrade. And in that weird world, there were items that were given on a scarcity level. So, for example, there were party hats that were dropped in sometime in 2000 as one of the Christmas events. And these party hats were free. But eventually, and I just checked about this recently, like just maybe a month ago, and those party hats are worth like $4,000 now.
Wow.
So, they were free back then, and now there's people, they're so scarce that they're worth $4,000. And the game's still running pretty well.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be that, but like a magnitude more.
With actual ownership.
Yeah, well, you have 100% ownership of your item. So right now, there's a huge craze on everyone's going nuts on buying names because your name that you claim is an NFT token.
Yeah, you can squat. There's some serious squatting going on.
You can squat. It's like domain name trading.
I think I saw EOS for 200,000 mana. I think I saw.
Did you? Yeah. Again, I don't know the legal implications of making money through these things, but
I don't think that cyber squatting is a full-time business for a lot of people. First come, first served, right?
Yeah. Oh well, actually, recently, someone bought the name Moon for 50,000 mana.
Well, there you go. I mean,
like there was actually a purchase,
and that's amazing because that's not even a brand. I mean, it's a massive meme. But I think that's great. That's either someone who's massively into this and has quite a lot of cash, or it's a brilliant PR move from someone within Decentraland who's
could be
chucking some
a
money.
wash trade or a fake trade. Who knows?
Who knows? But
I actually didn't. I have to investigate the blockchain aspect of it. Like I want to look at the wallets and make sure it's somewhat legit. But I just saw that name and someone PM'd me and I was like, holy shit, 50,000 mana, that's a lot.
Well, if you make a virtual world like this with so many variables and moving pieces, and you give it to the people to do stuff with, this is what you end up with. And I think it's super. It's very exciting, and it's like pick your FOMO. Are you going to FOMO over the wearables, the games, the land? If it's a FOMO machine and people like showing what they've got, and if the experience is interesting and engaging, and the scenery is incredible and the creativity's there. Like, there is no ceiling on how big this thing could get. Yeah,
but I think the one unknown is the mana token, because everything's connected to mana token, right? And if mana spikes really high or falls really low, and at the moment it's at the mercy of Bitcoin, like all other altcoins, it affects the land marketplace or the wearables marketplace or any NFT marketplace in weird ways if the currency used to buy those wearables fluctuates. So, for example, Ethereum went from $200 to about 300 almost. And exactly in that time span, you see Gods Unchained card prices fall quite a lot as people want to move their funds from Gods Unchained and jump onto the Ethereum wagon.
Yes.
I think like people in crypto are the same people under the same umbrella, so that it's just where the attention moves right now, or for the last 2 years, a big, a small but big somehow portion of it was in NFTs. If alts start to move in a way where everyone starts to FOMO in it, a lot of that money will come out of somewhere, right? So again, like how is this NFT market going to be affected, especially Decentraland with the Mana token, if Mana starts to move in big ways, whether up or down? If Mana starts to hit $1, right now it's 6 cents, hypothetically, if it hits $1, then are people going to still put their land for 13,000 minimum? I don't know. I'd be happy to cash out 10,000 or 8,000 Mana for a quick $8,000 injection to buy a car or something, right? So it makes sense to me. It's going to affect land markets or different markets in different ways, depending on how these tokens fluctuate.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's felt across the whole ecosystem. Just in terms of gas. When gas prices went through the roof, people couldn't. Their applications just ground to a halt, right? There's that is a really interesting issue. It's in many ways it's just tied to the fact of the genesis of Decentraland and how it funded itself to begin with, and potentially through governance processes, there could be ways to mitigate it further down the line. But
bring some stability.
But we can abstract it away and create a synthetic that captures how much mana you had and at a particular time, and then does different things with it. I don't know, but
the good thing is there are some smart minds involved, and I'm happy about that. Whether they be the content builders or the guys that build Niftex, that are building platforms to understand these economies a lot better. The people are there because crypto is built on tech minds, right? People in crypto right now have some sort of tech, an inkling to understand tech or build tech. So the people are there. It's just getting more and more involved to like this momentum that solves these issues quicker.
So on the earlier note of FOMO, where is the best place for us to FOMO into and buy land in?
Oh man, come on. Giving you guys advice on where to FOMO. All right, this is not advice.
# not financial advice.
Yeah. So this is land market you're talking about specifically?
Yeah. Well, we need to buy a gerbil cage somewhere.
Look, I think you have to be dynamic with understanding the land market. I've been following it for 2 years now, right? And the best deals I have are the people that I know that have been on the edge of selling their land. And I've just watched them over like the months list their land for 100,000 mana to 80,000 to 60,000 to 40,000. I'm like, man, this guy's serious on getting rid of this land some way. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly mana moves a little bit, right? It goes up 20%. And I'm like, all right, this guy is 100% going to accept a lower deal because mana's on the move. He's in the mindset to sell. Let's contact him personally or put a bid in to see if he accepts it. So recently, a great example of this was a land I bought for 750,000 mana on the northwest side. It was an estate, right? It was a really beautiful estate, 50-piece connected to DCL University. And there's this pocket in between DCL University and Vegas. I don't know if you guys have come across it or seen it, but it's kind of it's a hotter pocket than the other places. It has a road network and people are interested in Vegas and also DCL University. So that little locality that's forming there seems to value that land a lot more. So I bought this estate, and initially the guy had it listed for 2 million mana, which isn't too bad of a price, right? It's about 40,000 mana a piece. It is on the higher side, and then he listed it for 1.5 million, or actually 1.8. And I was talking to him, and I remember I said, "Hey man, I'll buy it off you for 900,000 mana." And he was like, "No, I want 1 million." And at that time, mana was about 4 cents. And then mana suddenly went up to 6 cents. And so when it went up to 6 cents, I put a bid in for 750,000 mana. And he contacted me and he's like, "Man, I got a bid here for 750,000. Do you still want to do 900,000?" And I was like, "No, man, I'm the guy that put the 750,000. And he goes, "Oh, it's yours. I'm going to accept it." So he accepted it, even though that values each parcel for 15,000 mana a piece, which is really on the lower end of the spectrum. But you get an estate. You get an estate in a very hot part of Decentraland, connected to a double road district. There's a lot more value there. And that deal and that thing happened because you understand, you have to be dynamic to understand all these factors that play. But yeah, I think if you want to get involved, I would go into the land trading channel, keep up with who's selling what, see if any of those areas. What kind of experience would you build? Would you build like a battle or a place to display your shop? Or
Well, I feel like Crypto Voxels has got us covered in terms of the display, like displaying everything. So having something more interactive would be Decentraland, I think, for us. I don't know. What do you think, George?
So what kind of interactivity are you looking for?
Maybe
A game or something?
Maybe, yeah, like if you know, this is just coming off the top of my head, but like if you had a really fast spinning hamster wheel, sorry, a gerbil wheel. You know, maybe...
You guys are serious about your gerbils?
Well, it's kind of our thing. It would be pretty weird to have an orc smashing battle.
We wouldn't want cats in there
or something. Yeah, we wouldn't want anything to do with cats.
No,
yeah.
I mean Crypto Kitties would be okay, but
they're pretty sweet. And I guess we'd like to explore what we can do and what the tech allows us to do, and just see what happens.
Maybe it'd be quite cool to do something like we could do a live interviews in there, or like events,
that'd be cool.
And things like that.
Yeah. How much land are you looking for? Think.
I mean, really, we haven't even looked. We haven't. This is the beginning of our.
We'll have to DM you.
Yeah.
A large land or a small land, or just whether it be Decentraland or not. Like, are you looking for a place where you can get a bunch of people, or just something that you can display?
I don't know yet.
A small event, because a four piece is pretty good, like a 2x2.
Because we said with Crypto Voxels, hey, let's get a parcel. And now, we've got 10, and we've got a load joined together, and we're building a big space there. So I guess you start, you see how it goes, see what you can do, and then you expand, don't you? And
yeah, does Crypto Voxels? So this is interesting to me because Crypto Voxels is obviously public in a sense that anyone can jump in, right? So is it attractive to people at the stage that it is now beyond just the builders? Like, are people that want to visit it and actually look around, do you find that when you jump into Crypto Voxels, do you actually see people there that you can interact with?
Yeah.
What entices you to build on Crypto Voxels?
Do you know, I find the world really compelling. Like, I didn't think I would, but I just kept going back. And it's the variety, because everything is built by different people. And you can go down one street and it's really, really tall buildings. Another street's completely different. They've got statues and every time you go in, there's something new. There's people wandering around. You can interact with people, and more, like it's getting busier. And it's Minecraft.
Yeah, that's really cool.
You can just build stuff so easily, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
I think for me, it suddenly kind of clicked when I went to A Lot of Money's gallery. And I'd been following this guy's artwork for a while, and it's quite sort of political and edgy. And when I went to his gallery, the way it was set up and the way he'd spent time and energy creating this experience for you to walk through, it actually completely changed my view of his art.
Interesting.
And I came away from this experience in this place that he'd made, like wanting to buy more of his work, and so I found that pretty powerful. But that's something that can be created elsewhere. Obviously, it's about the time and the energy and the effort that the artist puts into curating the space. But certainly giving you that extra experience to understand the mindset behind artists, I found very, very compelling. But no doubt Decentraland will have that. Of course it'll have that, because people will be able to design their own spaces.
Well, one thing Crypto Voxels is great in the sense is that they're very nimble. They're dynamic. They can really quickly, Ben can quickly add some feature that the community has requested, or change something very quickly. At Decentraland, because they're a bigger organization, I think there has to be a lot of push to start to get things rolling, to get them to change certain things. They take on feedback, but they're not as dynamic as Crypto Voxels. And obviously, crypto voxels being voxel based, it's quicker to build and it changes at a quicker pace. That's a big advantage I think CV has over Decentraland. And it'd be great to get Decentraland to move in that direction, to get things building quicker, because someone like me can't really participate in building some sort of experience, that can compete with what's there at the moment. But, someone can come very quickly and build some sort of voxel builder that has exactly the same building capability of crypto voxels, and you can use that to develop on your land. But anyway, just the fact that crypto voxels is very quick in implementing changes is a big benefit for them.
I was kind of imagining it as, crypto voxels is very much set up for the individual to customize their space. And it kind of feels like Decentraland is more set up for studios to come in and build games, and bigger studios and developers to come in and build experiences and build more complex and dynamic things.
I think so too.
And crypto voxels is more like your personal. It's your basement where you've got your crazy art on the wall. And
yeah. That makes sense. I mean, I think the people that get involved with Decentraland, I think it'd be best for them to have the funds and the skill set to actually build big, great experiences, because the capability to do so is there. Yeah. That's why I'm interested. Every time some company gets involved, I'm like, oh, awesome, we need more of these guys. Or some kind of game developer.
Are they focusing much on VR? Because is it Somnium that are primarily VR focused?
Yes. Somnium Space, I think they started with like a Kickstarter or something, GoFundMe campaign. But anyway, they're focusing on VR predominantly. And we had a few people jump from Decentraland to Somnium when Decentraland announced that they're going to delay VR.
Oh, they are, okay.
Yeah. So, Decentraland for a long time, the whole premise was that it's going to be this virtual world in virtual reality, right? And that's what I guess got a lot of people very excited. But I think things started to change when Philip from High Fidelity, which was supposed to be like the pioneering virtual reality world, right? He kind of pivoted direction, saying that the virtual reality market just isn't big enough to sustain developers. So people that develop experiences, they can't really sell things or get some sort of financial momentum because the market's so small with VR headsets or people using those worlds in VR. And it made sense, but a lot of people were still bummed. I was bummed, I wanted something in VR because that was the whole thing about it. But over time, it kind of made me more understanding, because I was like, wait a second, these guys need to launch ASAP if they were to incorporate a virtual reality ready world that works on browsers and mobile phones. It's going to delay this another year or two, so it's best to probably just get the world out and then tackle VR at a later date. But VR is definitely on the roadmap, and I've made sure that I've talked to Ari and Esteban, and I'm like, guys, are you going to make sure this is VR based at some stage, because that's why I've invested. But yeah, they are going to introduce VR at a stage, just not now, because
Well, let's hope all our decentralized virtual worlds thrive and capture the imagination of all the gamers and artists and just people who like to experience other people's creativity. Let's hope it does that. It's been so great to talk to you, Matty. It's been a lot of insights into this world that's launching Friday. Is that right?
Is it Friday the 20th, or is it Thursday?
I can't remember.
Well, I'm on 18th Feb, and it's Tuesday here in Australia.
Oh, it's Thursday. It is Thursday. Yes.
It's Thursday. Oh.
Thursday.
Well, we're going to have this out on Thursday. So today, if you're listening.
The same day on the 20th, I think there's like the NFT conference, right?
Yeah. That makes sense.
That'll be why.
Presumably they're going to be there and...
No, they're not going to be there.
Oh, really?
They're not going to be there. Yeah, I think they're all hands on deck, just in case something goes wrong.
That makes sense.
Fair enough.
I thought it was really cool. I wasn't in the Decentraland Discord, and I went in there and I thought, oh, right, we need to find someone to speak to. And I approached the admin and they said, you come speak to you. And I thought, oh, that's like decentralized in the sense that, you're getting someone from the community to represent you.
Oh, yeah. The true, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think they're just so busy with just getting this world out and making sure everything's perfect But I'm getting more podcast requests for some reason. I think people keep handballing them to me, which I'm happy to do, 100% happy to do. But it's just blown up. Like my messages have been going crazy for the last 2 months.
You do it very well. So keep doing it. No, not at all. It's been a pleasure having you on.
I've got 4 lined up for today, believe it or not.
Really?
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's nuts. I don't know how that happened.
Well, you know, when these things launch, people get interested, right?
Yep.
So yeah, once again, thank you very much, and yeah, we'll follow you, and fingers crossed for the launch.
No worries, guys. It was a pleasure to be here. But yeah, excited to see everyone in the launch party.
So thank you, Matty. What a great conversation that was. Really looking forward to seeing how things shape out on Thursday for the Decentraland launch.
Yes, yeah. Which will be today, since this will be released on Thursday.
And so, counterfeit gerbil. Oh boy, have we had some fantastic responses to this one.
Oh yeah.
But I think, first of all, some shout outs, I think.
Yeah, we've got a couple of shout outs to people that have swapped parcels with us on Crypto Voxels. So Flowbot44 bought up a parcel next to us that we were hoping to get, and very kindly swapped it for another parcel. And him being a listener of the show, he was happy to send his parcel to us first, and then we send our parcel to him. So a lot of trust involved there.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
So Maxim G also bought up a parcel that we were hoping to get, and they didn't seem to be on the Discord. So we put up a big poster in Crypto Voxels saying, please contact us. Here is our email address. And thankfully they did. And they were happy to swap for another parcel. So our gerbil HQ is now complete in terms of purchased land. And we've got to kit it out now. So we'll let you know when it's ready and ready for visitors.
Yeah, it's very cool to have a full community effort, clearly, with people giving us the land that we need. So yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, and our third shout out is to Myth Space, who has designed us a gerbil wheel, a voxel gerbil wheel to go in our HQ, and it looks amazing.
So now I can get fit, basically.
Yeah, there's no excuses now.
No excuses. Awesome, cool, great stuff. So shall we unleash some of this counterfeit magic that's come through?
Yeah, brilliant.
You go ahead and read out Nate's.
Okay. He thought long and hard about what story to tell his blind date. Counterfeit gerbil was always a man of few words, but he really wanted to impress her. I created Bitcoin, he said, as he checked the price of BSV.
Awesome stuff, Nate. Definitely a counterfeit gerbil.
That panicked to say something clever.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Maybe that's how the whole Craig Wright thing started.
Potentially.
And he's just had to run with the story.
I wonder how the date went. Right. Anyway, enough of that. We're Kitty One. Yet again, you've created a masterpiece. So thank you for this. The counterfeit gerbil wanted to collect yet another piece from one of its favourite writers. So he threw in a half-written tweet in a hurry to secure the glorious prize.
I'm not sure what he's getting at there.
Well, clearly, Lucas Gerbil, the counterfeit gerbil wanted to receive the NFT of counterfeit gerbil, and hence just sent in a hurried tweet in order to at least receive one.
I see. Very cryptic.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's a she. Really likes collecting these NFT gerbils.
We really should know by now. Where, Kitty?
Yes. Get in touch with us. Let us know. Let us know what kind of kitty you are. So yeah, thanks for that. And as ever, you will be receiving another addition to your collection.
Here we've got a short but very sweet entry by Alan Falcon. "That's no moon," he said, in muted shock, as they got close enough to make out that it was in fact furry.
Wow.
Well, Alan, brilliant. I think that's all we need to say about that.
Yes, that's true.
Next, we've got anonymous NFTs with a limerick or a double limerick. Is that what you call it? A double limerick? Is that a thing? Did I just make that up?
It is now.
There once was a counterfeit gerbil. For some reason, he was non-verbal. His friend was a hen, loved a cock she called Ben, but she often would cheat with a squirrel. There was once a counterfeit gerbil, rode to work on the back of a turtle. The turtle's name Myrtle, she was mighty fertile. And counterfeit gerbil now dodges child support payments and is addicted to crack. It's unfortunate, but these things happen.
Wow. Anonymous, you have a fairly bleak outlook on the world. But hey, those are potentially the goings-ons of a counterfeit gerbil. So yep, thank you.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Really. It's the first limerick we've had.
It's the first limerick we had, so you definitely get an NFT. Well played, sir. Next up is the Flaz. Counterfeit gerbil. He's a fugazi. He's a wazy. He's a woozy. He's fairy dust. He doesn't exist. He's never landed. He is not matter. He's not on the elemental chart. He's not fucking real. Wow. So
that one went along with a GIF.
Yes, I remember. Yeah,
Wolf of Wall Street.
That's right. That you get the prize for perfect GIF. Definitely. It's a very good way of saying yes that counterfeit gerbil doesn't exist. Nice one.
Okay, so Third Man Design. Counterfeit gerbil had a foolproof plan. Firing up her screenshot app, she copied and glitched a few gerbils. Now she just needed to slap on some coin logos, think of a cool sounding pseudonym, and mint her fortune. Non-fun unicorns? That'll work. These noobs fall for it every time.
Great stuff. And the images that go along with it are amazing.
Yes, he's put unicorn heads on and glitched our gerbils, and they look brilliant.
Amazing. Well, we'll find somewhere nice to put those. Maybe we'll whack them up in our Voxels HQ.
Oh, yeah, good idea.
And so the winner. Here we go. Thank you very much, Nifty Report, for this astounding piece of creativity. Best price. He said it so often, the ridges inside his mouth had become red and sore as he rolled the R in price. But it was a living. Counterfeit gerbil had put 2 of his gerblets through college on the back of knockoff plastic balls and exercise wheels. They looked like the real deal, but would inevitably fall apart after a few uses shortly after his tourist victims had flown home, so he never had to deal with their complaints. But something had changed lately. Business was slowing down. It seemed like fewer and fewer gerbils wanted his products. The customers, he did see, in the night market, would pull out their phones as they shopped, but he wasn't sure what they were doing with them. He'd shout, "No photo, no photo." The newspaper came in the mornings, but counterfeit gerbil would never read it before he shredded it in his sharp yellow teeth and added it to his bed. If he had, he would have realized that his prospective customers had wised up. Quality products were now embedded with chips that could be scanned. If the product was authentic, it would show up on the blockchain. Since then, knockoff products were no longer in demand. 3 weeks later, as he stood behind his booth at the market with a frown on his face, the cops rolled in. It was a crackdown. They cuffed his little hands and took him away. "This is bullshit," he shouted. "Bullshit!" The earth turned and the sun rose over a smoggy, humid cityscape. Another block was found, another transaction recorded for all eternity. The world had moved on without him. Counterfeit gerbil had traded his cage for a cell. Wow.
That's really quite an epic.
I mean, it's epic. It's actually quite incredible how in depth some of you geniuses out there decide to go. Thank you so much for that. It had to be the winner simply because of the
This is bullshit.
yes, the sheer indignation of being handcuffed and taken away, and all the wonderful imagery you've created. So you are our winner, Nifty Report, and we shall be creating that image that you have so eloquently created and turning it into a NFT for you.
I think he said that instead of spending an afternoon writing a new blog, he put his attention to writing this. So greatly appreciated.
Greatly appreciated, and because of all your efforts, you are the winner. So thank you to everyone who's sent in their backstories for Counterfeit Gerbil. Luke, what is our next gerbil?
Well, as if by synchronicity, we had decided on Unicorn Gerbil about 2 hours before Third Man Design unicorned our other gerbils and glitched them. But he obviously knew something was coming, and that coming was Unicorn Gerbil. So that's our next gerbil.
Amazing. Brilliant. Okay, well, I kind of get a feeling that we'll know what that looks like, at least in part. But at the same time, having seen what comes back from our wonderful community, it could be anything.
Yeah, we that's the nice thing. It's a surprise each week, isn't it?
It certainly is a surprise.
So send us your Unicorn Gerbil entries, hashtag Unicorn Gerbil, hashtag non-fun gerbils, and yeah, come and find us on Discord and on our website and on Twitter.
Indeed. So yeah, thanks everyone, and thanks Luke.
Yeah, thanks George. See you next time.
Best price. He said it so often the ridges inside his mouth they become red and sure, and he roll the R in price. But I was 11. Counterfeit gerbil. I put his 2 giblets through college on the back of knock-off plastic balls and exercise wheels. They looked like the real deal, but would inevitably fall apart after a few uses, shortly after his tourist victims had flown home, so he never had to deal with a complaint. But something had changed lately. Business was slowing down. It seemed like fewer and fewer gerbils wanted his products. The customers did see in the night market would pull out their phones as they shop, but he wasn't sure what they were doing exactly. He'd shout, no photo. Yeah, the newspapers came in the morning, but counterfeit gerbil. Yeah, I'd never read it before. He shredded it with his sharp teeth and he added it to his bed. If he had, he'd have realised that his prospective customers had wised up. Quality products was news embedded in chaps would be scanned. If the products was authentic, he'd be shot on the blockchain. Since then, knockoff products were no longer in demand. 3 weeks later, as he stood behind his booth in the market with a frown on his face, the cops rolled in and they cracked down, they cuffed his little hands and took him away. This is bullshit, he shouted, bullshit! The earth turned and the sun rose over a smoggy, humid cityscape. Another block was found. Another transaction recorded for all eternity. The world had moved on without you. Counterfeit gerbil has traded his cage for a cell.